Today is water day. We're getting water from the lake with the fire pump, filling up buckets on the back porch. One of the things that we've acquired in fairly recent years is a fire pump. You put the hose into the lake and the pump pumps water from the lake through a fire hose. And because fires have become a little more common in recent years here, we thought this would be a good addition to our fire prevention arsenal. So we're also now using this to get a lot of water at one time from the lake up to the cabin. We're using the same water system that we've used basically since the get-go 20 years ago when we got the cabin. And that is just filling up buckets or the camper jugs with water from the lake. I add a drop of bleach to each bucket. The bleach pretty much destroys any kind of problem in the water that would potentially make us sick. We also run anything that we are going to consume through our Berkey, which is right here. This system has worked for us really well, especially since we got the Berkey. I used to do a lot more steps to purify the water before we got the Berkey. And we also had two of our kids, our two youngest, with us here for many years. And I really was concerned about making sure that they weren't going to get sick from drinking the water. So I did several different things that kind of all did the same thing, but it was just making sure that we weren't going to be making the kids sick or ourselves sick. And I was straining the water to get rid of any kind of floaty stuff in it. Then I would add bleach to the water, let it sit overnight, then I would boil it, and then I would strain it through a Brita water filter, and then it was good to drink. Either the bleach or the boiling would have been enough. I just wanted to make sure and not take any chances. Because we have this Berkey, we can cut down on the boiling. I don't boil anymore at all, except for tea. Trev is busy down setting up the fire pump, and he's going to hook everything up, and I can fill up all the buckets I have out on the back porch here outside the kitchen. They could probably stay out there for a couple more days, but we are going to be getting into some negative temperatures this coming week. Then the buckets will have to come inside, and I have a place sort of in our storage hall, which is beside the kitchen here, that I can store the buckets and they don't freeze. If I store them in the kitchen on the floor, they tend to freeze when it gets really cold, like -30 Celsius. The kitchen is at a lower height than the rest of the cabin. The kitchen was an add-on that we did 8 years ago, maybe. It's been wonderful, but it is at a lower height, so it has its own wood heater. The floor in here gets really cold when it gets really cold. And even with the wood heater going, because the heat rises, it doesn't keep the floor that warm. We're constantly tweaking things to try to make it a little bit better. Eventually we'll get it figured out. I have my little dropper bottle that somebody gave us there from, I don't know what it is from, but anyway, that I can just drop out a few drops of bleach into the bucket. So I do that before we add the water, so it gets mixed in really well with the water. So I'm going to do that first.
Is that all of them?
Yeah, that's all of them. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you. So we now have about 45 gallons of water straight from the lake that now can be used in the cabin. This is going to last us for a couple of weeks at least. I like these square buckets because they have a levered lid, and I can open it up, scoop water out, and put it in the Berkey or in the sink. They're really handy. I quite like them. You can see we've fixed them a few times with tuck tape because they get open and closed so much that the hinge on them wore out a long time ago. I'll show you how we get our water from the lake after the lake freezes over in another video.